Imagine hopping into a random taxi, expecting nothing more than a quiet ride through the city, only to have your entire day take an unexpected, life-changing turn. That's exactly what happened to Justin Bieber one evening when, instead of calling his private driver, he chose to take an ordinary cab like any regular person. At first, it was just another ride. The hum of the engine, the flickering city lights outside the window, and the quiet, almost eerie stillness inside the car. But as the journey unfolded, Justin found himself in one of the most profound conversations of his life. One that would challenge everything he thought he knew about success, happiness, and what it truly means to live. It had been a long day. Justin Bieber, exhausted from back-to-back interviews and rehearsals, just wanted a moment to himself. Instead of calling for his usual private driver, he decided to do something he hadn't done in years: take a regular taxi. As he stepped onto the dimly lit street, the cool night air brushing against his face, he spotted an old yellow taxi parked near the sidewalk. He walked over, opened the door, and got inside. The driver, a man in his late 60s with deep wrinkles and kind, tired eyes, adjusted his rearview mirror. He didn't react to seeing one of the most famous pop stars in the world in his back seat. "Where to, young man?" the driver asked in a raspy voice. Justin hesitated for a moment. "Just drive. Anywhere, really." The taxi pulled away from the curb, the soft hum of the engine filling the silence between them. For a while, neither spoke. Justin stared out the window, watching the city lights blur past. "You look like you've got a lot on your mind," the driver finally said. Justin sighed. "Yeah, just life, I guess." The driver nodded knowingly. Life has a way of making us feel like we're carrying the whole world on our shoulders. But sometimes, we forget to just breathe. Justin turned his gaze to the old man. "Have you ever felt like you're just lost? Like no matter how much you have, something still feels missing?" The driver chuckled softly. "Son, you have no idea." There was a pause before the driver spoke again. "You see, once upon a time, I had it all. A good job, a loving wife, and a son who was my entire world. We used to sit right where you are now, just talking about his dreams. He wanted to be a musician too, just like you." Justin leaned in slightly, listening. "But life doesn't always go as planned," the driver continued, his voice now tinged with pain. "My boy got sick. We tried everything, spent everything, but sometimes love isn't enough to stop the inevitable." A lump formed in Justin's throat. I'm so sorry." The driver gave him a sad smile. "It's okay. Losing him taught me something. We spend so much time chasing the next big thing, worrying about what people think, trying to be someone. But in the end, what truly matters is love. The simple moments. The people we hold close." Justin felt his chest tighten. He had spent years running, from fame, from expectations, from himself. Every concert, every interview, every flashing camera had become part of an endless cycle, a machine that never stopped. But had he ever just lived? Truly lived? Had he ever paused long enough to feel the world around him, to exist without the weight of millions of eyes watching his every move? The car came to a gentle stop near a small park. The dim glow of streetlights cast long shadows over the empty benches and quiet pathways. The soft rustling of leaves in the evening breeze was the only sound breaking the silence. It was a simple place, yet it felt strangely peaceful, almost like a world away from the chaos he was so used to. The driver turned to Justin with a knowing smile, his tired eyes filled with wisdom earned through years of experience. "Take a walk. Breathe in the night air," he said. And remember, kid, happiness isn't in the fame, the money, or the noise. It's in the quiet moments, in the people who love you for who you are, not what you do. Justin sat there, frozen for a moment, absorbing the weight of those words. He had spent so much of his life proving himself, chasing after validation from strangers, yet the most profound truth had come from a man he had met just minutes ago. Slowly, he reached into his pocket, pulling out a thick wad of cash. "Please, take this," he said, his voice almost pleading. "For the ride, for the conversation, for everything." But the driver simply shook his head and gently pushed Justin's hand away. "No need for that, son," he said with a soft chuckle. "Just promise me one thing. Live your life, not your image." Justin's fingers loosened around the cash as the man's words settled deep into his heart. He swallowed hard, nodding slowly. "I will," he whispered, and for the first time in a long while, he truly meant it. He stepped out of the taxi, feeling the cool night air wrap around him. He took a deep breath, filling his lungs completely, as if inhaling life itself. The car's headlights illuminated the street ahead for a brief moment before it pulled away, disappearing into the distance. Justin stood there, alone but not lonely, watching as the taillights faded into the dark. He felt different, lighter, freer, as if a part of the burden he had been carrying for years had finally been lifted. For the first time in what felt like forever, Justin Bieber took a deep breath and smiled. Not for the cameras, not for the fans, not for the world, just for himself. For more powerful stories that touch the heart and inspire change, subscribe now and join us on this journey.